Welcome to Subconscious Conversations, where we take a look into the intricate world of the subconscious mind and how to heal the body, mind, heart, and spirit through its wisdom and guidance. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining me today. I'm Brielle, and I'm the soul practitioner at Springseed Wellness, where I practice the energy medicine techniques of emotion code, body code, and belief code, which were created by the wonderful Dr. Bradley Nelson. In today's episode, I will be talking about what my abilities are in this work, what my limitations are in this work, and what the client's responsibilities are within their own healing journey. So, a lot of people seem to be seeking a diagnosis and or a treatment plan or some guiding advice on what to do in life. And I hate to disappoint, but I can't really do any of those things. And I think it's really crucial for people to understand that right out of the gate. Now, I can help you navigate what your body is indicating the problem is, and what your body is indicating the problem is connected to, and what your body is indicating might be helpful support to you as you heal. And I will listen to your story if you need to talk it out, and I will be compassionate towards you, and I will sometimes even share sparks of insight or advice I might have. But that's basically all I can do. I'm not a medical doctor, I'm not a dietitian, I'm not an herbalist, I'm not a pharmacist, and I'm not a therapist. But we'll take a look at all of these in a little bit more detail. So a lot of clients are struggling with issues that are very disruptive to their daily lives, and sometimes they're chronic issues. And oftentimes they've been to multiple doctors and haven't really gotten any answers or any relief for their issues. And this is a really super time for these modalities to come into play, because we can talk directly to a client's subconscious mind to determine the root cause of the problem and start resolving many of the compounding issues as well. But it can get a little bit tricky between this being perceived as a diagnosis, or sometimes can be frustrating for the client if they don't get a diagnosis of sorts. For example, if someone has been suffering with strange issues that medical doctors can't figure out, and then we pinpoint something specific, like, say, an allergy or some negative emotional interactions with certain things, or some toxins in the body, or unhealed trauma, that can often feel to the client like they've finally gotten a diagnosis. But it's important to recognize that I have no credentials to actually diagnose anything. And in all actuality, I actually have no idea how much it will help your specific issue when we resolve those things that we do find. And I have no way of knowing how long it might take for the issue to resolve after we've worked on all the connected things going on there. And on the other hand, if someone is really seeking answers as to the cause of their problem, and all I can give them is kind of like a vague string of connected interactions, they might feel a little frustrated because they're looking for one specific cause, and all I can give them is kind of a complicated web of things. But I might not be able to tell you exactly how these things are connected or exactly what caused what. All I know is that your body is indicating that these things are contributing factors to your issue, and if we remove them, your body will self-heal better than it was able to before. Now, similarly, it may come up that a certain herb or spice or essential oil might be beneficial for you to aid in your healing. However, it's extremely important to know that I have no idea what most herbs, spices, or essential oils are beneficial for, or how they affect the body, or whether or not they're even safe for use. I have not been trained in any of that. And quite frankly, it seems like a very daunting area of study, so I'm not in any really hurry to bite that off either. But what I can tell you is that for whatever reason, your body is indicating that this thing would be beneficial for you. But I can't verify that with any medical certainty because I just simply don't have the credentials to do so. So it's up to you to do your own investigation into these things to determine for yourself whether you feel good or bad about it. Or discuss it with your medical doctor or a nutritionist or someone who's qualified to guide you a little bit further into that specific subject. And likewise, I can tell you if another healing method or a certain activity is coming up as something that would be beneficial for you. But I cannot say whether or not that thing is actually physically safe for you to take part in, nor am I telling you that you absolutely have to do said thing. If it feels uncomfortable to you, or if you don't have the resources to be able to do said thing, that's up to you to decide. And usually it does really help the healing breakthroughs if you do follow through with those subconscious suggestions. But again, that decision is yours to make for yourself. Also, I can tell you if a certain toxin is coming up from, say, certain medications or vaccinations or exposures to various things. But this is not to be mistaken with me telling you to either take or not take some sort of medication or vaccination. And it's not up to me to tell you what you should or shouldn't do in relation to various other exposures that might have showing up. I have no way of determining whether or not you need or don't need certain medications or vaccinations, or whether or not you need to avoid certain things. But let's take a look at a few examples here. So, say you're on antibiotics and it comes up that you have a medication toxin in relation to those antibiotics. I am not telling you to stop taking your antibiotics. I'm not telling you that the antibiotics are making you sick. The only thing I'm saying is that there is something in that antibiotic that is being a little difficult for your system to process. But with what we know about how antibiotics work and the nature of medications in general, that shouldn't really be such a great surprise. You know, we rely on our gut health for so many things, and antibiotics have a really negative effect on your gut health. But that doesn't mean that you should stop taking the antibiotics. Maybe you need to endure that imbalance in your gut for a little while in order to kill the infection that would cause even worse damage. Or maybe there is a certain compound in that medication that is hard for your system to process, but the overall result of that medication is vital. Or maybe it's just an indication that you're experiencing the typical side effects of a particular medication, but the all in all effect of it is beneficial. But on the other hand, it could indicate that you are having a bad reaction to that medication that needs to be addressed with a medical doctor. But I can't make that determination. I can only tell you what your body is indicating. For another example, let's say it comes up that you have a vaccination toxin. That doesn't mean that you should avoid vaccines. It doesn't mean that you've been irreparably damaged by getting a vaccine. It simply indicates that something in that vaccine was difficult for your body to process. But again, the overall effect might be very vital. You know, and I haven't heard anybody else say this, and I have no way of proving it, but I have this sneaking suspicion that sometimes when vaccination toxins come up, it could be an indication that your body is actively fighting against something that you were previously vaccinated for. And I suspect this because I've seen a trend with this where all of a sudden vaccination toxins will be coming out for multiple different people, but it seems to coincide with times when there are known illnesses running through the community. Like, for example, when it's flu season, or if a specific COVID strain is going through the community, or heck, I mean, with the way measles is sweeping through the country right now, um, it could, when you see trends of lots of that coming up for a while and then going away for a while, I suspect that it could be your body successfully fighting something that it was previously inoculated for. But again, can't prove that, just a theory. But yeah, bottom line is I have absolutely no authority to tell you whether it's advisable or not for you to have a vaccination. And if it comes up that you have, say, toxic exposure of some sort in relation to, say, something you're exposed to through work, I'm not telling you need to quit your job. It very well could be that it's a constant exposure that's doing you great harm, or it could be that you were under the weather one day, and on that particular day, your body was a little bit weaker, so the toxin affected you a little bit differently at that time. I can't make life choices for you. All I can do is encourage your body to release those toxins so that your body can self-heal a little bit better than it could before. Now, with all of these things, we can ask your subconscious questions and try and get as much clarification as possible on the details. But ultimately, it's up to you to discuss your medications, vaccinations, herbal remedies, toxic exposures with certified professionals, and decide for yourself what feels like the best decision for you. Also, as I have said multiple times before, you don't have to talk about anything unless you want to. And if you choose to, I will do my best to listen to you and to show you compassion and to give you support and possibly even give you some advice on occasion. But I do want to clarify something. I do tend to keep working as someone is talking through things. And that might sometimes come across as me not listening or not being compassionate. But I'm just really trying to get as much things cleared up as possible within our time together so that you get the most benefit out of our session. So I try to find a balance between compassionate listening and continuing on with the needed work. And importantly, I also want to state for the record that if I'm giving you any sparks of insight or advice, that is coming purely from my intuition and or personal experiences, but I'm in no way a qualified therapist or life coach or anything like that. So the things that I say might be really accurate and helpful, or they might be completely wrong. I don't know. But at the times when I'm sharing possible insights or some advice, those are moments when I'm momentarily taking off my practitioner hat and putting on my friend hat. But I never want it to be misconstrued as like clinically accurate mental health care, because I'm just not qualified to provide that. And, I can lend an ear, and I can help you clear up all the things that come up so that you're less burdened by them. But it's up to you to seek clinical mental health care if you want that level of knowledge and guidance. Now, as I have said repeatedly, this work has been really amazing and has helped me in so many tremendous ways. And I absolutely love helping other people solve the mysteries of their issues and find the root cause and remove anything preventing the healing of that issue. And I love helping people heal themselves and reconnect with themselves. But I also think it's really important to have a well-rounded approach to health and wellness and to understand the benefits and limitations of all options so that you can find the best way to combine things in the necessary ways to promote the most beneficial healing for you individually. And in fact, that's another thing that can get a little frustrating for some clients, because I very strictly follow the guidance of the subconscious mind, because that's really the only way to get the most accurate roadmap of that individually unique healing journey. And sometimes a client's conscious mind is telling them to focus on one thing, but the subconscious has a pretty roundabout way of getting there. And sometimes a client will ask me to investigate a specific topic, and if it doesn't come up during their session, they can get a little frustrated. But I trust the subconscious and its roadmap, and I believe that if things aren't done in the correct sequence, it won't have the same level of positive impact. Now, I will always listen to a client's concerns and approach the subconscious conversation from the question of, are there things that we can work on or clear up to help with these concerns? And then I follow that up with, what is the most important thing we can clear up to help with this concern? But from there, I strictly follow where the subconscious guides us rather than trying to direct anything. For example, if a client is having relationship issues and they think it might be due to courting or something like that, I will ask their subconscious if there are things we can work on to improve their relationships and clear up any courting that might be present. And then I will follow with asking, okay, what is the most important thing to clear up? And I'll follow it from there. Now, courting may never come up during the session, and then a client might feel like I ignored that part of their request. But really, I feel like it's crucial to follow the sequence of events that the subconscious is guiding us through. So if a particular concern doesn't come up during our session, even though you asked about it, that just means that either that thing isn't an issue for you, or that it's not the right time to approach that specific thing. And I think it's important to understand that I will never ignore or negate an issue that someone has, but that I will adhere to the sequence of what the subconscious says are the most important steps to take and when to take them. So the way I see it is, it's my job to tell you what your subconscious is indicating and to clear out any negative interfering energies so that you can heal in the most efficient way possible. And it's my job to listen to your subconscious mind and respect what it's saying. Now, sometimes I will give you homework if there's things coming up that are indicated as being beneficial for you to do, but it's your job to make sure that you do your own research and or discuss with qualified professionals to determine for yourself whether you feel comfortable with that suggestion from your subconscious mind. And it's also your job to listen to your subconscious mind and respect what it's saying as well. But as long as both practitioner and client are very aware of the scope and ability of this work and understand the limitations of the practitioner's expertise and take responsibility for their own part in the healing journey, it's a truly beautiful and impactful result. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, and please be sure to join me for the next episode where I will be talking about the positive and sometimes negative interactions between religion and energy medicine. Kind of a sticky subject, I know, but one that I feel is important to discuss. So, see you then. If you would like to set up a session with me to experience this work for yourself, please go to springseedwellness.com. If you would like to find a practitioner in your local area, please go to discoverhealing.com. And please always feel free to reach out with any questions or specific topics you would like me to address. See you next episode.